Good morning and hello, Stone Ridge Fellowship family. It's good to come by and say hello and give you an update on what's going on in my neck of the woods here with Youth Unlimited. And I'll try to do that as quickly as I possibly can. And in some senses, there's lots of backstories to stuff, but obviously, ministry-wise, programming has really come to a halt for the most part. Everything that was chugging along pre-COVID-19 has stopped, and now it's okay. What do we do now? I would say that in the very beginning stages, when everything started getting really kind of strange and things were shutting down and stores were closing, and the big thing, even for me because I watch a lot of it, but the NBA shut down, and then everything started going from there. It was, what do we do now? And for me, as in that first week when things were kind of a little crazy, I was here in the office and I was thinking through, what is it going to look like for me? We do youth work and youth programming. And honestly and truly, it was kind of a moment where, as if God kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, I just simply want you to prepare. I will look after everything else. Trust me with everything. I want you to prepare. And begin looking at the things that need to be prepared and done in order for the future days, whatever's to come, to be successful and that need to be, that are going to happen. And so I really began diving into this preparing idea. So that has really flowed into the ministry side of things. That has flowed into the day-to-day. I'm still very busy, more administrative type things here in the office, working on developing a lot of things. So we are, right now as a ministry, spending a lot of time on trying to figure out what chapter status looks like. How do we move from where we are now into being an independent chapter, which means having our own board, our own charitable status, and so on and so forth, and being locally really run with the direct oversight of YFC Canada. So working on that, looking at what it takes to have funding in place, grants, things like that, getting more intentional. Doing that. Also, one of the things that I wasn't able to do in the very beginning, because things got very busy very quickly, was credentialing, which is very similar to ordination for the most part. It's part of YFC Canada's employee kind of structure, and they want you to do a credentialing process. So I'm doing that right now, spending time, reading, doing assignments. I never thought I'd be back doing school stuff again, but that's what I'm doing. And just really, really digging in, and it's been great because I've been leaning more into stuff that's going on nationally, and it's really driving the roots deeper of who we are as an organization, and hearing the voices of executive directors all across Canada and their hearts and desire to continue to adapt, and how do we impact the lives of students. And so everyone's trying to figure that out right now, and I'm trying to figure out some of that also, but for the main part, focusing on developing behind the scenes stuff, foundational pieces, from looking at who might be able to hire in the future, to the credentialing, to we're still doing some ministry. We're doing theater arts via Zoom with the kids, some of the kids that had come in the past. So we're connecting with them, which is great. So we are still continuing to develop and work with them, chat with them each week, see how they're doing, just encourage them, have some laughs, give them something to look forward to each week. And that's been actually really fun. So that's continuing. Also trying to look at what can be done right now. So conversations with a social worker friend of mine and what's going on there, sharing resources, and what might I be able to do in the sense of posting things that can help our community, help parents and families at this time. And so there's lots of things to figure out. And so some of that is what's happening right now and what we're focused on. The other big piece of news that has been amazing is that, the first part of it isn't all that amazing, but about 5 weeks ago, I actually took a bit of a pay cut as a result of what wasn't coming in monthly. And so everyone's making changes financially as organizations, and I was informed that based on what was coming in consistently every month, that's what they would be able to pay me. Not what comes in over the year, but monthly. And so I took a reduced pay. And so it put us in a bit of a pinch, and we're like, okay, what are we going to do? And how's that going to look? And Shelley and I certainly, we are where we're supposed to be. And Shelley and I talked a lot about it, and Shelley really began to say, okay, Lord, where do you want me to go? And he really was inviting us to trust him in that. And we didn't say much. We left it with him, and then Shelley began to just simply follow his lead to individuals that God put on her heart, and that's what she did. And through all of that, it's truly amazing, honestly and truly. God showed up at a time where it often doesn't make sense to us. And he has done that again. And so I am very encouraged, and certainly want to extend and share with you just being an encouragement to be amazed at the things that God does, that he definitely has shown up in this situation, in this moment in time, and has provided, and that we will be able to be back to a full-time salary starting in May. So we've only gone a month, and I did not anticipate that. I did not think that would be the case. But the fact that he has shown up and provided in that way is truly amazing. And I want you to know that. Not because it's me, not because of anything other than God knows what he's doing. And he's involved, and he is close. We often think God is way out there somewhere, but he shows up time and time again. And it might be small ways, might be big ways, but he shows up. So it's been a wild few weeks. Things were going so well before COVID hit. We're getting into more doors opening into more schools, all those types of things, and it was exciting. And yep, it's like a bit of a bummer, but we know that he's involved, and it's a time and a season, and we need to be ready for the days to come in the future. So we're very excited about that. So thank you, Stoneridge family, for being involved. Thank you for your partnership and your support. It means the world to me. I'm so grateful for you. So that is my ministry update. So I thought I'd just take a couple of minutes as well, just to share a few thoughts with you, maybe encourage you a little bit in this time when things are a little strange in our world. Not just a little, they're a lot. And lots of things have changed around us. Lots of things are very, very different. We're doing life differently. That can be good, that can be bad, depending on your situation. So I thought I'd just share something with you that's kind of been on my mind, and something I've been thinking about the last little while, and even actually diving into personally a little bit too. Kind of getting back to a basics of thinking in many ways, and focusing in on, I think, something that's actually really good for us to focus on. And so I just want to share a couple of thoughts with you briefly, just to follow up behind the ministry update. So I've been thinking about, lots of things have been kind of stripped away in the last little while. Lots of things have changed. Lots of the things in life that we were doing, we're not doing now. And you're kind of left with yourself or your family, stuck in a house, maybe. But we're really left with ourselves. A lot of our extracurricular things, whether it's sports or hobbies or whatever, those things have all kind of been pulled away, and we're left with ourselves. That is even happening within our faith realities, or our faith communities, or our systems, programs, things we're a part of. They're not happening right now. And some of us are left going, man, what do I have? What should I be engaging in, or how do I function now, even in my faith? Like, where am I? So I want to give you something today that I think you need to do. I'll be honest. I don't think it's something that's should be contemplated. I think it's something you need to do. And I simply want to encourage you and challenge you to take this time when a lot of the Christian-y stuff that we're involved in normally is being stripped away, that we kind of let that strip away, and we get back to the real relational component of our faith. And that relational component is our relationship with Jesus. That's where it all began. That's where all of this started. Now, you might have had Christian influences and things of that nature, but what really impacted you was, the call that God reached out and called you to himself through Jesus, and into a relationship with Jesus. And that's the very core component and piece that's so important to us and should be important to us. And I want to encourage you to really lean into the relational component with Jesus, maybe even revive that in you, maybe even get back to that part of your faith that is so important, that everything else hinges on, that we need so much. Regardless of everything else, we need that relationship. That's the relationship that matters and influences us ultimately. So I want to give you a couple of things, 3 things actually, in regards to this. I want you to think about focusing again on the personal invitation that Jesus gives, especially in this time frame when we're tired. We feel the weight of the things around us and all that we've been through in our world and we're living through now in our homes, and then even in our province, and some of the difficulties and challenges. Jesus always offers the personal invitation to come to him. He invites us to follow. He invites us that when we are tired and heavy burdened, he says, if you are tired and you need rest and you're heavy burdened, come to me. Come to me. Not anything else. Don't go running to something else. Don't go running to things. Don't go running to substances. Don't go running to even your family, which even the things that might be good things. Jesus says, I want you to come to me. If you need rest, if you are tired, if you are just weighted down, come to me. Turn to me. This is a very intentional response for you and for me. And when life gets tough, when things get burdensome, he always invites us back to him to find rest and to yoke ourselves up to him, to link ourselves up to his teaching, his words, who he is, to find rest for our souls. It is a personal, intimate invitation from him. And how amazing that is. I think often we forget, and we get lost in that and so many other things, and we forget just the personal nature of that call and that invitation. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to take time to focus on Jesus' manhood, on his humanness, the reality of the human side of who he is. Don't ever forget that when Jesus came into this world, he gave up certain aspects of himself, of his deity, in order to take on human likeness, human form, for very, very good reason. It's interesting, if you think about it, think about people around us. We often will, we find that we separate ourselves, or we're standoffish towards people who really aren't real. They're really not themselves, or you really don't quite know who they are. They don't show themselves, or they feel a little fake, or they're not authentic. And we find it hard to relate to people like that. We find it hard to be drawn kind of towards those people. We tend to back, at least I do, maybe it's just me, which very well could be, but if you pick up, well, they just don't seem real. They're not relatable to us. They don't seem very human to me. Well, Jesus was fully human, fully man. And that's really important for us, because Jesus taking on human flesh, even as Paul writes in Philippians 2, as he talks about Jesus, and he lays down a quote here. He talks about Jesus in verse 7, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, being found in the appearance as a man, he humbled himself, and become obedient to death. The humanness of Jesus is really important. And Jesus was incredibly authentic, incredibly real. When you read through the life of Jesus and read through the things written about him, that even his own circumstances and things that he said, there is such a raw and realness about him and a humanness that you can't help but draw you towards him. I want you to find that. I want you to focus on that piece. We're so quick, and I just read a book recently that talked about this. We're so quick to focus on and deify Jesus, the deity of Jesus. Well, that's the one component we can't relate to. We want to so desperately, we want to know and understand it, but we can't. It's the one aspect we can't. But don't forget, Jesus became human for very good reason. And in this moment of time, I want you just to take some time and zero in on and focus on the humanness side of him. Let it draw you in to himself because he's incredibly relatable to us and real for us. The human is fully man. Don't forget that. Remember that. Focus on that. Relate to it. Allow it to influence your life. The third thing I want to encourage you to do is I want you to focus on his leadership. I want you to zero in and be intentional about allowing his leadership to lead you. We look to a lot of people, a lot of things, pastors, people, government, bosses, whomever, to lead us. And I don't think there's a greater opportunity right now than ever before, and it always really should be in our lives, is allowing the leadership of Jesus to lead us. You probably have not heard it said like that before, but what a time to allow him to lead you through his words, through his life, to influence you, for you to make decisions in your life based on his leadership, on his words. How are you going to do that? You're going to have to go and read his words. You have to go and read the things that he's talked about, the things that he said, his experiences, his situations, and allow those things to lead you. And in fact, then by doing that, allow him to lead you. Allow his leadership to influence your life, to lead you through this time, through his words, the things that he spoke. John says the word became flesh. Jesus, the word of God, incarnate, the expression of God, the verbal expression is Jesus. Let him lead you. Let his leadership guide you and lead you. Take the time to get to know him again. This is an opportunity where things are stripped away. Some of you are floundering right now in your faith. Some of you are struggling. Some of you are wondering where to go. Some of you are going to hear this and you maybe don't even have faith in Jesus yet. I'm going to encourage you to turn and look towards the person of Jesus, just like everybody else, and allow him to influence who you are. And I have a sneaking suspicion at the end of this time period when this is an opportunity, in my opinion. We shouldn't be reactionary. We should be proactive in this time period. And I think as things become back to what we might call normal, whether that's good or bad, we can debate that another time. Your faith is actually going to be deeper and more rooted than what you realize. It's actually going to be stronger than what you realize. Let his life flow through you. Focus on the invitation again, the intimate nature of that relationship. Focus on his humanness. Take a look at that. Lean in on that. Learn from that again. See the relatable component of Jesus to you and I, and it will draw you in, I promise. And let him lead you. And remember this, Hebrews 12, verse 2. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter or finisher, completer of our faith. Our faith is fully reliant on the person of Jesus. And I can say a lot about that. We come to rely on a lot of things for our faith. And a lot of them aren't Jesus. Most of them aren't. They're not bad things. But Jesus is at the center. Everything else revolves around that. He is the author and finisher. It all has to do with him and everything in between. And I want to encourage you to point you back towards Jesus again in your walk. Take this time to reevaluate that. When things are stripped away, who are you? Where are you? You get back to Jesus again. Focus in on him again. Or turn to him for the first time. Maybe you're directing yourself towards him for the first time and you're going to begin to investigate. You do that. And you will be amazed at what will happen in regards to your life, your faith, and your walk through this time period. So I'll leave that with you. Take this time, zero in on him, focus on Jesus again, and allow that to flow through your life in this time period. Hope that's encouragement to you. Thank you, Stoners family, for being a part of this ministry and a part of what we are doing here. Appreciate it so very much, and hope you are all doing well in this time period. And if not, certainly reach out to someone and have someone walk alongside of you in this time. Thanks, everyone. Take care, and hope to see you very, very soon. Take care.